In a city of endless connections, where every moment is shared, there's a peculiar vanishing act. One minute they're across from you at a chic cafe, filling the space with charm and possibility. The next, poof, like a whisper carried away by the urban wind. But lately, this isn't confined to crowded streets. It's happening in the quiet intimacy of your phone. You meet someone. The conversation flows, effortless as a perfect vintage find. Laughter is genuine, the spark undeniable. Maybe it's a first date, maybe a third. You send the follow-up text, witty, casual, hopeful, and then a cosmic black hole. Nothing, just the oppressive silence of a read receipt mocking you. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world always buzzing, how does someone simply cease to exist in your inbox? It's not a fight, not a polite, it's not you. It's just the end of the line. The modern equivalent of being left on hold indefinitely, only to realize the line went dead hours ago and no one bothered to tell you. You're left replaying every moment like a bad rom-com, desperate for a narrative, a reason that makes sense. After a silent vanishing act, you inevitably find yourself staring at the ceiling, scrolling old texts, or perhaps, in a moment of masochism, doing a deep dive into their digital existence. And in those bewildering moments, you start asking uncomfortable questions. Not about them, but about you. Why does this particular disappearing act feel like a punch to the gut when others barely registered a shrug? Some people walk into your life, leave without a word, and it's a mere drizzle on a sunny day. Others pull the vanishing trick, and it's a torrential downpour. Why the difference? Our hearts come pre-programmed, little secret operating systems shaped by every first love, first heartbreak, and even our earliest relationships. Some of us are just wired to crave connection. We leap at intimacy, thrive on closeness, and perpetually seek reassurance. So when digital silence descends, it's not just a person disappearing, it's the very ground vanishing beneath your feet. It hits that primal fear. Am I going to be abandoned? Am I not enough? Your internal alarm bells clang like a fire truck, screaming threat, danger, unworthiness. Then comes the self-inflicted torture, the endless replay. You comb through every date, every conversation, searching for the fatal flaw. Was it that offhand comment? My laugh? You jump from "they stopped texting" to "I am utterly unlovable." It's an emotional hijack where the absence of a simple explanation allows your imagination to spin a tale far darker than any reality. Then there's the sneaky monster, confirmation bias. If you already harbor a tiny insecurity, the ghoster's silence becomes undeniable proof. See, I knew I wasn't good enough. Your brain actively seeks evidence that confirms your existing fears, turning ambiguity into a self-fulfilling prophecy of doubt. This constant, obsessive detective work where you blame yourself creates a profound identity crisis. Who am I if I keep attracting this kind of disappearing act? Am I flawed? These questions shake the very foundations of your confidence. Without an explanation, there's no external validation. You internalize their rude behavior as a harsh judgment of your worth, distorting your self-perception.
There's an unspoken contract in dating. You show up, you try, you open a tiny window to your soul. This is vulnerability. It's stepping out onto the high wire without a net. But what happens when that brave step is met with the crushing silence of ghosting? It doesn't just hurt, it creates a peculiar, insidious type of wound, shame. A piercing sense that something is fundamentally wrong with you, that you are unworthy of even a simple explanation. Ghosting is the ultimate act of emotional invisibility. The ghoster actively denies any empathy, choosing the path of least resistance for themselves. They inflict a particular kind of harm. They make you feel unseen, unheard, and profoundly dismissed. It's as if your feelings, your presence, your entire emotional reality simply don't matter enough. This absence of acknowledgement deepens the shame, implying you were so inconsequential that even a goodbye was too much effort. The ghoster denies both themselves and you the chance for mature communication. They choose convenience over courage, leaving you in a psychological vacuum, unable to process the experience. You're denied the simple dignity of a clear ending. This silent abandonment can feel profoundly dehumanizing. The real work then becomes cultivating radical self-compassion, reminding yourself that another person's inability to show up respectfully says everything about their own internal landscape, and absolutely nothing about your inherent worthiness. You were brave to be vulnerable. They were just not. We've dissected the heart of the ghosted, but what about the one who performs the ultimate disappearing act? No one just vanishes for no reason. There's always a why, even if it's wrapped in their own emotional baggage. Some hearts are wired for anxious longing, others are meticulously crafted for retreat. Think of it as an internal GPS that screams, "Detour," the moment the route map points towards true intimacy. For these individuals, closeness isn't a warm embrace, it's a tight squeeze. Shared vulnerabilities, the escalating warmth of consistent conversation, these steps towards intimacy trigger a deep, almost primal fear. Perhaps early lessons taught them that relying on anyone means disappointment, or that true closeness comes with an unbearable cost to their independence. So they built walls, and when someone gets too close, their defense mechanisms kick in. Ghosting becomes their ultimate escape hatch. It's not about malice, it's about misguided self-preservation. When connection feels too real, their internal alarm sounds. Direct communication, especially concerning feelings, is an emotional minefield for them. Explaining disinterest, navigating potential disappointment, it all feels overwhelmingly uncomfortable. Ghosting allows them to bypass this perceived emotional burden, retreating into their self-sufficiency. Their silence isn't a judgment on you, it's a desperate, clumsy attempt to protect their own need for space and independence. They're not running from you so much as from the uncomfortable reflections of their own limitations.
Love isn't just a feeling. It's a verb, an active practice. It's a cultivated skill that demands discipline, concentration, and profound concern for the other person. It demands effort, commitment, even, dare I say, a little work. Through this lens, the ghoster's vanishing act takes on a rather stark hue. Ghosting is the ultimate shortcut, the purest expression of an immature approach to relating. There's no discipline, no concentration, certainly no profound concern for the person left behind. It's a failure of basic human responsibility, a refusal to engage in the polite, difficult, grown-up parts of interpersonal connection. Ending any bond requires maturity, acknowledging the other person's feelings, respecting their investment, and offering a clear, honest conclusion. Ghosting prioritizes the ghoster's immediate comfort over the fundamental human need for recognition and closure. It's a self-serving act, a preference for avoiding awkwardness rather than upholding the basic dignity of a shared human experience. This reveals a profound immaturity in the art of loving, reducing complex human connections to disposable commodities, unworthy of even a simple, honest farewell.
The vanishing act has played out, and you're left amidst the emotional debris. While you can't control someone else's exit strategy, you absolutely can control your own recovery. The path forward isn't about chasing phantoms, but about rediscovering your sparkle, understanding your marvelous complexity, and reclaiming your narrative. It's about moving from bewildered victim to sophisticated survivor. The aftermath of ghosting feels like a cosmic joke. Your brain, dying to fill the silence with dramatic theories, often casts you as the villain, but that's just your mind's old habits, those thoughts that tell you you're not enough. The crucial first step in healing is to consciously challenge that treacherous inner voice. Stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" and start asking, "What does their inability to communicate respectfully say about them?" When someone chooses silence over an honest farewell, it speaks volumes about their emotional maturity or discomfort with confrontation. It says nothing about your inherent fabulousness. This isn't about shifting blame. It's about accurately assigning it. Since the ghoster denied you closure, you must create it from within. Accept the raw reality, the connection ended without explanation. And that's okay. It's messy, frustrating, but it's reality. Actively choose to let go of the obsessive need for a text that will never arrive. You acknowledge the pain, validate your own feelings, and then consciously detach from their unfinished narrative. Their silence is their message, a definitive no, delivered in the most frustrating way. Understanding this absence is the answer can be surprisingly liberating, freeing you to rewrite the script with you as the empowered protagonist.
Ghosting jolts you, making you feel vulnerable and anxious. For those who crave connection, these silent disappearances hit a particularly tender spot, like an old wound. But you have the power to mend those emotional fractures by building an unshakable foundation within yourself. This means becoming the reliable, comforting presence for yourself that you crave from others. It starts with small acts of self-soothing. When anxiety tightens after an unanswered text, what do? Obsessively check your phone, or take a deep breath, listen to music, or wander through a park. Find rituals that ground you, that remind you you're safe, loved, and whole, even when an external connection feels precarious. These aren't distractions. They are active ways of telling your nervous system, it's okay, you're okay, we've got this. The most potent antidote to feeling abandoned isn't necessarily a new romance. It's about consciously building secure, non-dating relationships. Cultivate your friendships, water them with long conversations, laugh until your sides ache, lean on them. Nurture healthy family bonds. Seek out communities that uplift you. These consistent, reciprocal relationships offer tangible proof of your lovability and worthiness. They are sturdy anchors, gently rewiring your heart to understand that true connection exists and you are inherently worthy of it, regardless of what some digital Houdini pulls. Sometimes, echoes of abandonment run so deep that you might need a wise guide to navigate your heart. This isn't a sign of weakness, but a profound act of self-love. The goal isn't to become invulnerable, it's to become incredibly resilient. It's about transforming reactivity into poise so that even when a thread unravels, your own inner fabric remains strong, beautiful, and absolutely whole. After being ghosted, there's a natural urge to lock your heart away, to build walls so high even a skyscraper couldn't see over them. You think, if I don't open up, I can't get hurt. And in a world where people can evaporate, that logic feels perfectly sound, doesn't it? But here's the paradox. True resilience isn't found in shutting down. It's found in cultivating authentic vulnerability woven within the sturdy, protective fabric of well-defined boundaries. It's not about closing off, it's about discerning who you're opening up to, how much, and when. This means you become an astute observer. You learn to listen to what people do, not just what they say.
When venturing back into dating or nurturing existing connections, look for signals of emotional maturity, consistent communication, and a genuine willingness to engage. Does their energy match yours? Are they curious about your world? Do they show up for moments that require effort? Instead of instantly pouring out your life story over a first date martini, you learn to gradually reveal yourself, like peeling an onion, layer by beautiful layer. Watch how they respond to your subtle bids for connection. If a potential partner consistently avoids anything heavy, if communication is erratic, or if they prioritize their own comfort over clarity, these aren't just red flags. They're giant waving banners signaling this isn't fertile ground for a truly reciprocal bond. Ghosting, in its own harsh way, teaches you the invaluable lesson of observing reciprocity from the outset. A relationship, even a nascent one, is a two-way street. Does the effort feel balanced? Is the conversation consistent and clear? If you consistently feel like you're doing all the emotional legwork, that's your cue. This empowers you to disengage earlier, protecting your emotional energy before you've invested your heart and soul into someone who simply isn't showing up. The most fabulous boundaries aren't built to keep love out, but to ensure that only the good, authentic kind gets in.
After experiencing the sting of ghosting, we arrive at the most crucial lesson. Love isn't just a feeling, but an active practice, a skill you cultivate. And the most vital relationship where this art must be mastered, particularly after a silent disappearance, is the one you have with yourself. This is where you embody mature love for yourself. It means actively practicing self-care and self-respect, not as a luxury, but as an absolute non-negotiable. You are inherently worthy of clear, respectful, and honest communication, regardless of how someone else behaves. Their rudeness, their inability to communicate, none of that diminishes your value. It's about setting an unbreakable internal standard for how you expect to be treated, a non-negotiable clause in the contract of your own heart, and then refusing to settle for anything less. This self-love also demands patience and discipline, the discipline to not chase that phantom connection, to resist the urge to send another message into the void, the strength to turn off the internet detective agency in your brain, to stop endlessly replaying conversations. It's the patience to trust that the right connections won't make you guess, won't make you doubt your sanity, and certainly won't vanish without a single word. This is about disengaging from the disrespect and holding space for reciprocal energy and genuine engagement. It's a quiet, defiant act of choosing your peace over their confusion. By internalizing this mature approach, by practicing this active, intentional love for yourself first, you effectively shift your focus. The shadowy presence of the ghoster, that nagging question of why, begins to fade. Your gaze turns towards the vibrant, tangible reality of your own journey, the richness of your existing life, and the promise of future connections that will actually honor you with their presence, their words, and their consistent communication. The best revenge is a life fabulously lived, filled with authentic connections and a heart so full of self-love, there's no room left for phantoms.
We've dissected the ghosting phenomenon, the bewildering pain of the ghosted, and the shadowy corners of the ghoster's heart. But this isn't just about individual dramas. The Ghosting Gauntlet, in all its perplexing silence, is a flashing neon sign pointing to something much larger, a poignant reflection of where we are in the grand, chaotic experiment of modern human connection. At its core, ghosting starkly illuminates the cost of convenience. We live in an age that promises instant gratification and effortless solutions. Relationships? If they become slightly inconvenient or demand discomfort, there's always the digital equivalent of simply walking away mid-sentence. The ease of blocking or leaving a message on read replaces the more arduous but infinitely more respectful task of a mature conversation. This frictionless disengagement fosters a culture where emotional friction, the awkwardness of delivering bad news, the discomfort of ending a connection, the emotional labor of expressing boundaries is systematically avoided. It's wonderfully easy for the vanishing act, but for the person left behind, it creates a vacuum of clarity and respect that cruelly hurts. This pervasive behavior also speaks to a subtle, insidious erosion of communal courtesy. When someone can simply vanish, it implies that the other person's feelings, time, and emotional investment are utterly inconsequential. It chips away at the fundamental understanding of mutual respect that should be the bedrock of any interaction. In a vibrant urban landscape, being a faceless disconnector can feel liberating for some, but for the rest of us, it makes the city feel colder, more isolating, and less authentically human. However, even in its most painful moments, the ghosting gauntlet serves as a powerful, albeit harsh, catalyst. It forces us as individuals and as a collective to confront what we truly value in our connections. Is it the dizzying thrill of endless options, the fleeting satisfaction of convenience, or is it genuine depth, clear communication, and the kind of mutual respect that holds a relationship together even when it's time to let it go? This is where the very ethos of Love Threads finds its most urgent calling, the call for conscious loving. It's an invitation to cultivate an active, intentional approach to every connection, from its very first spark to its inevitable conclusion. It means embracing the courage to be vulnerable, wisely so, the discipline to communicate clearly even when it's hard, and the empathy to acknowledge the beating heart of another. For those who've walked through the ghosting gauntlet, it's a call to profound inner resilience, to understand that another's inability to communicate is never, ever a reflection of your own worth. And for those who might be tempted to pull a vanishing act themselves, it is a quiet urging towards greater emotional maturity, a gentle nudge towards simply being a better human being. The Love Threads journey is about navigating this intricate, dazzling, and sometimes utterly bewildering cityscape of love with clarity, with confidence, and yes, with a touch of effortless style. It recognizes that while some threads may unravel abruptly, the most important work lies in weaving a strong, beautiful, and resilient narrative within oneself, choosing to engage with the world with integrity and seeking connections that honor the complex, beautiful, and often challenging art of being truly human. The ghosting gauntlet may be a painful reality of modern dating, but it is ultimately an invitation to forge stronger, more authentic bonds, both with others and most profoundly, with your own fabulous self.